We're diving into the fascinating transition into the Age of Aquarius, a time of profound change, uncertainty, and opportunity. Joining me is astrologer, numerologist, and author Pauline Edward, who will help us unravel the mysteries of this new era, what it means for humanity, and how we can navigate these tumultuous times with greater awareness and purpose. If you're curious about the cosmic shifts shaping our world, stay tuned.
Welcome to Exploring the Mystical Side of Life with your host, Linda Lang.
Hi, this is Linda Lang from thoughtchange.com. We are exploring the mystical side of life once again this week. If you enjoy our conversations, remember to subscribe, share with a friend. Today, we are talking the transition into the Aquarian age and the tumultuous time that we're living in. I have Pauline Edward with me. She is an astrologer, numerologist, an author, and a seeker. Welcome, Pauline.
Thank you for having me, Linda. Thank you.
Well, there's quite a buzz about this shift into Aquarius. Some people say that we've already stepped into it, others that we're in the transition time. Some people correlate that with the fifth dimension. I'm curious as to what you would counsel us about this transition time.
I think maybe we can sort of look at the signs, because I was mentioning something about this Pisces to Aquarius, one complex sign to a less complex sign, and the person didn't understand complexity of the signs. The signs in the zodiac of 12 progress from Aries to Pisces, and Aries is the I am, and then Taurus is I have. And so all the way around here, we're getting more and more complex. First 6 are very personal, and then the second group of 6 are more collaborative or community-based or global, if you like, till we get to the most complex, which is Pisces. And so that's why I wrote in my book, and the one on Aquarius, I woke up in the middle of one night freaking out. We're going backwards. It just occurred to me after, 55 years of study and practice of astrology, we're going backwards.
Let's stop there for a moment, Pauline, because I really want people to understand the backwards. So it's not specifically a regression in information, let's say, or behavior. You're talking about going backwards through the signs, correct?
Through the 12 signs. Right now, the last era was Pisces, which happened to be the last sign. But before that, it was Aries. And before that, it was Taurus. And that's why, when I was studying a little bit of history, I was realizing, in the age of Taurus, and these eras last about 2100 years, and they're based on the precession of the equinoxes, which is derived from this wobble of the earth, and it comes back to a certain place. And Taurus, yeah, sure, it was all about farming and acquiring goods and settling down. Before that, it was the hunter-gatherer, Gemini. So then in Aries, though, we're going down. Taurus was I have, and then Aries is I am, I want, I desire. And it's purely male energy, whereas Taurus was purely female energy, yin. And I read that there was a time in history where women mistreated men. I read that somewhere. So in the age of Aries, it's very yang, masculine energy, and it's me-based. So it's all about, we want one God, we want one country, we want one this, we want one that. It's very competitive. We invent the competitions, the Olympics and all that sort of, very Aries, Mars energy. Then we go from those two signs and shoot all the way up to Pisces. And that's why I had the image of this ladder, down a ladder, and then we go back up a ladder in Pisces. So we're going from the first sign to the last sign, we're starting all over again. It took me a while to understand. Then we're going down one. Where are we going with this? It took me a while to understand, and I'm jumping ahead to kind of like the spiritual context of it, to understand that this backwards cycle is almost like we're pulling away from our source. We're pulling like an elastic band until it's too tight and we have to go back to our source. At first, I saw it as a horrible thing. Then in the end, I saw it, this is a good thing. It can't help us but yank us back and say, hey, folks, you keep going down the ladder. Thousands and thousands, hundreds of millions of years or cycles, wherever it is where they have these, 12 layers of dimensionality here. Keep doing this over and over and over again. So it's a brilliantly built-in device to kick us in the butt and say, whoa.
Well, we're definitely being kicked in the butt for sure.
Yeah. So right now, the last era was Pisces, and you got to look at each of the signs. Now, all the signs contain specific attributes, and we're all born into this dimension here. So we all have aspect to all the attributes, just some of them are a little bit more highlighted in our birth sign, things like that. I also know that we are not this, but it just happens to be a garment that we're wearing here, or it's a school from which we're learning in this lifetime now.
Hopefully.
We are. We're always learning. And so we can, ultimately, that's the point. I've been asking these questions for almost 70 years. So since I was a small kid, I wanted always to get to the bottom line. And the bottom line is we're not this, but we only think we're this. We believe we're this. Now, Pisces is very much about belief systems. We're moving into Aquarius. So the basket of Pisces was infinite potentialities. It could have harbored love, like we were taught 2,000 years ago by our brother, forgiveness, letting it all go, returning to our source, experiencing the oneness and knowing our oneness as a part of God/creator, whatever word works for you. Or if we're not ready for it, we're just going to make a lot of drama and cut everything up and keep everybody separated and run a, fear-based divide and conquer, which we've been doing for 2,000 years. 2,000 years of that kind of experience. Now we're going into a bit smaller era. Well, it's not a smaller era, it's the same amount of time, but energy, and we're familiar with the energy of Aquarius. We both have some Aquarius in us, and here we are talking about Aquarius. It's a smaller bag. It can't hack the drama. I don't know about you, but it can't hack drama. All I watch, while having supper is maybe a stupid Hallmark movie, and if there's a car chase, I fast forward through it. Zero drama for me. Aquarius can't hack that. But humans on Earth right now still have not fixed the original problem. And the original problem is separation from source. Now, it's interesting right now, we're getting all this knowledge and information. Another thing that freaked me out was when I woke up in the middle of the night and I thought of the book 1984 by George Orwell. Oh, we're going there. Yes. If we continue like we are in Pisces, with limited awareness of who and what we are, based on lies, systems designed to control and manipulate and keep us ignorant. If we continue there, yeah, we're going into 1984. Let's dehumanize this, like, Greg Braden talks about dehumanizing the human, and turn them into little robots and use AI. We're going down the ladder. But the cool thing is, it's not locked in yet. We are in that messy place between seasons. And if you live in a country like Canada, where we have definite seasons, if you go from winter to spring, you might get a couple of snowy days and you still got your coat on and your boots. And then you get a really hot day. You might want, wear your shorts and your sandals. But then the week after, there's another snowstorm. That goes on in March, right, till beginning of April. So the season doesn't change overnight. So it's kind of like where we're at between Pisces and Aquarius. Spring isn't really completely sprung yet, and winter's not completely gone yet. So we can do a number of things. Don't have to go skiing, and you don't have to go sunbathing, or you can stay home and read a book. Now, we're between Pisces and Aquarius in a messy zone where things have fallen apart, where the new downward ladder step is not locked in. We are free.
We have choice.
Exactly. And the attributes of Aquarius, blind faith worked in Pisces systems, and especially for these, what I call adventurous souls who are living in separation from source, who need something to support them, needed these systems of support. Aquarius is vastly different. Aquarius does not do blind faith. Religions are out the door. Freedom, autonomy, and freedom of choice, and doing what you like, doing what you want, self-motivated, self-guided actions are more likely. The question is, which self is going to be making these decisions? The continued separated self, or the one that realizes it's part of a oneness, we have to do this together? And that's another attribute of Aquarius, is community. Can you do that without judging? Can you do that without hate, without shoving someone out because their beliefs are different? That requires that humanity breaks out of this whole ladder system, this whole zodiac system, and rise above to something completely new. And we don't like the unknown because it makes us scared, but we like our freedom.
So in essence, what you're saying is that in this moment of choice, we get to choose if we want to set the lower qualities of Aquarius for the next 2000 plus years, or the higher qualities.
I would say even go further, break it and go beyond, and know that we are not bodies, that we are not just little, whatever's put here to go through these cycles. And it takes a little bit of boldness, a little bit of courage, but Aquarius is curious and Aquarius is hands-on. That's one good thing about Aquarius. It's different because it's a fixed sign, just different from the mutable sign of Pisces. And fixed signs are hands-on. I got to do it myself. I want to see if it works. Is this true? I'm going to try it. So these individuals, I'm seeing this, are more likely to say, I want to experience this. I want to go beyond. So yes, it's a little window.
How long do you think this window lasts?
I got a little impatient. I was saying it's impossible. It's not going to. My guide showed me on the horizon. They said not to worry about it. It's being created now. So this is not easy to describe here in the 3D here. It's beyond 3D, 4D. So that really made me feel relieved and gave me hope. And then I start seeing it when I chat with a young girl on the bus, and she's telling me she's, studied Buddhism and all this and that, and now she realized she's got to take it in her own hand. Kids are getting it. Well, kid, she was 40, but she looked 20. But young people are getting it. So you'll see signs. When you're seeing musicians and artists, little kids, they're coming in here with, obviously, they're not just 3D.
It's definitely a different quality of soul coming in these days, for sure.
Yeah, very, very, very different. It's amazing to see these kids. Like this young guy, Malakiev, who plays Rachmaninoff on the piano. It's like, how could he's playing Rachmaninoff? He was 12 years. How can you do that? It's the most difficult thing. Rachmaninoff could touch 13. I can do 9, but he was doing 13. A kid. And so we're seeing that. I saw a post somewhere where a child said, "Oh, I wrote that book." Did you see that?
No, I didn't see that.
It's a book from a long time ago.
So there's a lot of souls coming back, right?
Yeah, so that's showing that there's a point where this system doesn't need to apply anymore. And what I've also said, when people talk about, well, there's 13th, it's not just 12. I know the structure of 12, I didn't do too much research on that, functions here in this dimension. But when they're talking about 13th, what I understand is that they're talking about the first part of the next dimension, which is not 12. It's something much more, you know, when you're connecting with your future self, your parallel self, your past self, you know it's not this dimension. So once you start to have these experiences, you know that there's so much more beyond, and then you get curious, which is very Aquarius. Yeah, I want to be free. I'm curious. I want to see this. I want to know this firsthand, not in a book or not in a teaching or not in a church. I want to do it myself, right?
I find it really interesting that because so many people are touting about the golden age of Aquarius, and it can go both ways, right? It can be more golden than we can imagine,
Yeah.
or more challenging.
I think that's part of the Pisces mindset of being saved, looking for a savior. So they think a golden age is coming and it's going to save you. And doesn't work that way. We are participants. We have created this. Nobody wants to accept that. Why do you not want to accept that we're participants, that we've created this? This world is a result of our choices. It's a lot easier to say they did it, God did it, the Pope did it, the this, that. It's a lot easier to find someone to blame than to say, okay, I contributed many lifetimes. I made mistakes. You know what? I'm going to do the one single most important, most powerful thing a person can do. I look at myself, that child, the one in the past life that did that, the soldier that walked off the field, whatever stuff that, you know, images, whatever you have of your past where you made mistakes. Now you're going to take that one in your arms, you're going to hug it and love it. That's the first step. Humans don't know true love. Humans only know conditional love. Oh yeah, I love him. He gave me some flowers. He's so great. Isn't he good looking? No, that's not true love. That's not true love. You have to feel it. You have to know it. I had my first experience of loving myself when I was 58. It really freaked me out. I was reading one of the translations of my book. I was working with a translator and she needed help with the translation. I never reread myself because I thought I'm going to find mistakes. It's horrible. And I had this moment. I was rereading myself. I love this writer. I went, I didn't understand. And I realized I never felt that. Aquarius is feeling. All about feeling, not just thinking, feeling. And then I thought, oh my God, I love my daughters, but I never loved me. What did I teach them? So I started asking my clients, when's the last time you felt that kind of love that you felt for your child, your dog, your cat, your horse? For yourself. Only one person said that she had. Out of the dozens and dozens I asked, nobody dares. You know why? Because love has been associated with emotions, which are Pisces, and emotions are low. They're not intellectual. And they bypass the one most important thing. You don't need a PhD to feel. And that'll get you to your heart real fast. If, you know, all these people running around condemning so-and-so and whatever, are you being from your heart? 2,000 years ago, we were taught to love. We weren't able to at the time. Why? Why can't we love? We don't feel worthy. Why do we feel unworthy? Because we believe we're separate from our source. And we've been taught that source is a man god that's going to punish you. That's not true. How could source, which what I call pure life, not love all of its creations?
We have a ways to go before we awaken to that feeling, mindset, way of being. And I do believe it can come fairly quickly.
Because we appear to live in a linear timeline, that's what I was told by my guides. We think it's going to take time, but they keep laughing at me and they're saying, this is only an experiment. We never separated from source in reality. So that kind of information we're getting today, and I get my own, and there's lots getting their own similar, helps you make a leap. I'm an impatient person by nature, which I think is the Aquarius in me also. And that's why I'm getting this weird information. But it helps to know you have never been separate from eternal source. How could you be? How could you be? You can't.
I've heard it described before as source, God, if you like, whatever the divine, had the thought for an instant, what if? And just for an instant. And in that instant, all of these variations and dimensions were created so that source could explore itself in the not knowingness.
What I understood when I cleaned up my language and my whole religious and spiritual and New Age, everything, I had to scrap it all. And this was done through music. I was describing my last book, was really weird. And I knew God. And the words that came to me was pure life. And then, because I was taught a Trinity when I was young, so pure life, pure love, pure light, has attributes. And its attributes are harmony, peace, love, compassion, respect. There's many attributes to this source. It is impossible that the source of all would carry attributes of hate, murder, division, the negative attributes. So the only reason why there are these attributes here, and they're not in source, source creates everything with infinite potentialities. The thing is that some souls went off and got lost. I call them got lost in the forest. They became adventurous souls. They forgot that they were part of source. They lost the attributes of source, and they started playing these games. And here you get divisiveness, you get lack of harmony, lack of balance, disrespect, hate, anger. It's all based on fear because they forgot. When I got that storyline, it made it so much easier to see the world, to see people as adventurous souls who are lost. Never are. We're still always in the oneness of creation. We're just playing a game. So it makes it a lot easier to look at people without judging, criticizing, condemning, hate, and all that stuff. That's what we have to learn. That's Aquarius is about community. That we can use some of the attributes of Aquarius: community, working together, creativity, feeling. Music is so big these days, and that sort of stuff. Knowing from firsthand experience, sharing that with others. And then we could ultimately rise above this whole backward cycle into, apparently we are there doing it beyond the linear timeline.
We still have our 3D life and experience here. What kind of suggestions would you have for our listeners to embrace this transition time and the potential it holds to create something better?
First thing, it's about you. It's about each one of us individually. Our astrology chart, our numerology, or whatever it is that you want, our lifestyle, our culture, it's all there to teach us lessons. We have to accept that. We have to accept that we're a part of this, that we have contributed to it. And then we have to consider, do I want to contribute something different? Then we need to be ready to explore beyond the known. That's a bit of a challenge in Aquarius, being that Aquarius keywords are I know. And there's a comfort in that. So we must be willing. Now, obviously, there are some who have been ready to go beyond. Just think of, Star Trek and all these other, a lot of sci-fi stuff and a lot of talking about ETs and beyond what we're seeing here physically. So that's very Aquarius. Take it a step further. Take it all the way. Take yourself home to your source. Question and say, if I am an expression of that original source, I must be divine. Why wouldn't I be? Then pay attention to the objections and see what the payoff of the objections are. There's usually a payoff.
Your internal objections.
Yeah, nobody else's. And see what the payoff is. Well, if I accept that I'm responsible for this, that, or the other thing, that means I can't blame someone. Now, blaming someone is a mutable trait. Me, other. Aquarius is a fixed sign. Me, independent, autonomous, self-reliant, free. Take the attributes of Aquarius and use them for your benefit to help you break free. Yes, you're right. It's a bit of work, but if you once in a while can take on a huge leap, I'm going to consider that craziness that I'm not in the 3D and I'm in parallel lives. Oh, yeah, I'm going to maybe accept that crazy idea that that was my future self that helped me. Once you start accepting these weird ideas, when you look at another person, they're the same. They have a future self, past self, parallel self. What are they? Who are they? I better stop judging them. I think I know who they are. So once you stop doing that, playing that game, yes, you're contributing a new energy. Are you contributing judgment, hate? Oh, I hate that politician. He's such an idiot, blah, 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 blah. You're contributing hate. So sometimes taking those steps for yourself and then realizing they apply to others, you're going to stop hating. That's going to contribute to the change for all.
Some of those old patterns run pretty deep, and it's a task to catch yourself before you go down that spiral.
Doesn't matter. Go down. Go down. And, oh, yeah, that's how deep it is. Be curious. Yay, you know what? I'm going to go down there. I'm going to connect with Source, God, call it whatever you want, and I'm going to wipe it out. It's gone. You got to look at it. Not pretend it's not there. I've been doing that for thousands of years.
If you want to actually remember your divinity, there's no space for those old negative patterns.
But once you start to remember, reconnect with your higher self, those things naturally fall by the wayside because they don't fit. So you don't need to feel guilty or obligated or whatever. You'll see it come up. Once you start questioning and start saying, am I just this? Is it possible I'm something else? And something comes up, you're going to love yourself for having done that in your childhood or whatever. Just hug yourself. Just love yourself. Love yourself. And say, wow, I'm a courageous soul. I'm on Earth now with 8 billion people, and we're going through this transition. I'm good. I'm going to make the best contribution I can. I'm going to help myself. And I know we're creating that other world.
And it really does have such a different energy than looking at all the negative things that could potentially be happening, right?
Oh, you can if you want, but where you put your mind is going to determine the spice you're putting in the stew. Now, there's nothing wrong with being informed, but is that being informed? Is that information triggering hate? Oh, resentment. Is it triggering that? Then maybe step back. Try it again the next day. Those souls are lost. I'm going to send them love.
You know, I love William Whitecloud's method of dealing with this. He's I guess a manifestation coach maybe, or a how to step into your authentic self and create from that place. And he would say to notice, what's happening, what's going on, how you're feeling, and then to consciously choose what you want instead of going down that rabbit hole and putting your creative energy towards any of the chaos or drama that you see in your life. Yeah, maybe it's happening. Don't ignore it. Don't do the spiritual bypass, but then say, yeah, but I choose this instead.
Exactly. And then pay attention to any objections that might arise and say, I'm going to let that one go because I'm going to be something else now. And that's the cool thing about being between seasons. We're not so locked in, and we're in the face of all of our garbage. And that's a good thing, because when you got a pile of garbage in front of you, you know you can take it out. But if it's hidden behind belief systems and structures and obligations, well, I need to do it like this, I need to do it like they want it, then you don't see it. But now it's in front of our face.
It's also the gift of taking responsibility, because if you have responsibility, you also have the power to change it.
Exactly. That's one of the biggest steps, again, to accept that you're responsible requires that you set aside the way out, the cop out, which is blaming.
And not blaming yourself either.
No, others. It's usually others.
Yes, but some people might turn that into self-blame, and it's really not about blame. It's just, yeah, this is where I am. This is how I got here. I learned a lot getting here.
Yeah.
Let's choose something different.
Again, that's very also from the last two eras, judgment and punishment, and we're expecting to be hanged or, put on a cross or whatever it is for being whatever. So that it's all fear-based. So we tend to hold back. We won't, because of these deeply buried past experiences. But we're between zones.
We're in the twilight zone.
Yeah.
Pauline, is there anything else you'd like to share with the listeners before we wrap up?
Was there anything that you wanted to know more about going from Pisces to Aquarius? Attributes of Aquarius is community, balance. It's very independent, autonomous, sovereign. And we're seeing this. If it goes down the rabbit hole, what do sovereign people do? Revolution, fighting. Humans have been doing this for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. And from what I understand, beings in other dimensions and galaxies have wiped themselves out and have been doing this also. The cause, from what I understand, of this kind of behavior, again, goes back to that separation from your source. So the best revolution is the one inside, and say, no, I'm going to turn that around. I'm going to revolt against separation. I'm going to choose for oneness. I want to find my way back to that infinite source of life and live its attributes of harmony and balance and respect, compassion, love. I want to live that. I'm going to forgive myself. I'm going to love myself for all the craziness that I did. God, source, will not punish, because God, source, knows that I didn't do anything wrong. It's all pretend. It's all make-believe. We've been having an adventure. So I'm going to let it all go. I'm going to reconnect. And then I can do what I always wanted to do, is walk like Joshua did 2,000 years ago, walk with the people. And when I get on the bus, that's what I'm doing. And I fill the bus with light, and I'll talk with somebody. I feel that's what I'm doing there.
And for anyone who maybe doesn't know how to reconnect, can you give maybe 2 or 3 different techniques or exercises that could help them to reconnect?
For me, changing the language was probably the biggest key, and that came when I was writing my last book. The biggest key in all my life and all my whole quest. Changing up the language. I had to get rid of words, New Age words. I had to get rid of Christian, Catholic words, God, Holy Ghost. I had to get rid of it all. So replacing the language for me was key. When I went to pure life, pure love, pure light, that helped. So one thing that I do when I take a breath and I breathe in pure life and I breathe out pure love, I do that when I go out, when I walk or whenever I remember in the house. So just making that conscious connection with pure life. And you'll feel the love of the pure life. And the more you have forgiven yourself for your mistakes, the more powerful that love is. So that's a very simple way. I studied all sorts of stuff in my life, complex stuff, metaphysics, the initiates, TM. None of it did it. I never felt it. Like I wasn't, until I had those moments. And that one day in particular, when I was out walking and I'm doing my thing, and I kind of said, yeah, but who created God? And I'm walking outside and it's sunny, blue sky, and it was beautiful, and it's summertime. And then I see a pair of hands open up, and a kind of a smile kind of like comes in the sky in front of me. It smiles and it's loving, and I'm just saying, oh God. And it kind of like takes a step back. I'm watching. It takes another step back and another step. I get it. We can't understand who created God or what created God. It's like an infinite thing, So if you're able to do this, if you need to do this, you're not seeing that you're using the word God and you're seeing a man in a white robe that's holding a stick going to punish you for your sins, scrap it. That for me was huge. But also, if you're going to get an answer, you need to trust. That's another thing. I had issues with trusting because I had a vision where we asked for help and beings came to help on Earth, but they backed out at the last second because they have to honor freedom of choice and respect. And that made me distrust a lot of spiritual things. But that's just me. We all have our experiences. So trust is one thing. If you ask for help, you want it, it will be there. And breathe. Breathe in that source energy. Just bypass everything. Seek your own unique experience. It's about you.
I would say if you want to get an answer, you first have to ask a question.
Yep. And you have to be willing to take it, whatever it is. But that's good, though, because it could bring up some objections. Yeah, but. And the objections are good. We're in a time of looking at the garbage. Am I going to keep this? I'm going to throw it out. It's good. So let the garbage come up.
It's been a fascinating conversation with you today, Pauline. Thank you so much for being my guest.
Thank you for letting me speak out my weirdness.
It's perfect. It's perfect. Now, where can we send people who want to know more?
I have a website, paulineedward.com. And now after a year was broken, my / in the kitchen blog is back up. So I share my recipes there for fun. That's one fun thing I like to do. And I am working on another book. So my books are available pretty well everywhere. Whoever wants to read one of my books can start just about anywhere if they're curious. But I would recommend, if you're curious about the Age of Aquarius, to go with Aquarius one. And the one after that, Gateway to a New World, kind of follows up with a lot of my strange stories in that age again. So on my website, you'll see the book descriptions, and they're available anywhere.
Wonderful. And thank you for listening to this week's edition of Exploring the Mystical Side of Life. You will find all of our conversations on YouTube and your favorite podcast platform. Come visit me at thoughtchange.com. Pick up your copy of Learning to Listen, and we will see you again next time. Bye for now.